Australia's most lethal armored vehicles arrive in Ukraine. Australia sending Ukraine 20 Bushmaster armored vehicles amid Russia's brutal invasion of the country. The first of the $2.45 million machines will be flown to Europe from Brisbane on a RAAF C-17 Globemaster on Friday. The Bushmasters, specifically requested by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during his speech to Parliament last week, have been refitted and painted olive green. Ukraine's blue and yellow flag and the words "United with Ukraine" have also been stenciled onto each side in a message of Australia's solidarity with Ukrainian forces. Once again, Ukraine has asked for our help, and once again we have stepped up, Prime Minister Scott Morrison said on Friday. The Bushmaster Protected Mobility Vehicle is an armored personnel carrier designed to carry and rapidly deploy up to 10 battle-ready soldiers. The four-wheel drive vehicles are designed for all environments, are blast-resistant and have previously been used by Australian forces in Iraq, Afghanistan, and disaster zones at home. It was initially announced Australia would only send 4 of the vehicles to Ukraine. Friday's announcement, 20 would be flown into the war zone at a cost of more than $50 million, takes Canberra's total military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine to almost $170 million. In the battle against invading Russian forces, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky specifically requested Australia for Bushmaster armored vehicles. And there's good reason for making such a request, because the Australia-made 4x4 armored vehicle does have a reputation of being a rather capable war machine, especially proving its worth in troop transport operations. Manufactured by Bendigo by Tails, it has been in production since 1996 and has served the Australian forces in many combat missions. Now the first batch has touched down in Ukraine. With a weight of over 11 tons and measuring 7.1 meters in length, the Bushmaster is a combat vehicle that looks as menacing as it can get. With a 4-ton payload, the combat vehicle has been designed for a range of missions, which include troop transportation, patrol, support weapons deployment, and even medical evacuations. It can have as many as 10 occupants at a time, and its 4x4 capabilities mean that it can traverse through almost every challenging terrain it may be driven on or through. Four ADF Bushmaster vehicles have been hastily repainted and modified so that they can be flown to Europe within days of a direct public request from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. During Thursday's historic address to Parliament, the Ukrainian leader caught defense by surprise when he nominated the troop carriers as a practical example of what Australia could provide his nation as it fights a Russian invasion. Immediately following President Zelensky's historic address, the Defense Department scrambled to work out how best to get the Bendigo-built armored vehicles to the war-torn nation in Eastern Europe quickly. Now the ABC can reveal the first 4 troop carriers were repainted and refitted in Brisbane over the weekend ahead of their delivery to RAAF base, Amberley, where they are expected to be loaded onto a C-17 Globemaster before being flown to Europe. RAAF Globemaster can carry up to 4 Bushmasters on board at any one time, but it is understood the ADF is also examining whether some of the vehicles used by the Dutch military could be given to the Ukrainians as well. During the Afghanistan war, the Bushmaster was credited for saving the lives of Australian soldiers, with the Dutch government buying more than 100 of them. The UK Defence Forces believed to operate around 20 of the vehicles. Last week, Prime Minister Scott Morrison declared Australia would meet President Zelensky's request by not just sending our prayers. We are going to be sending our armored vehicles, our Bushmasters as well, and we'll be flying them over on our C-17s. Appearing before a Senate estimates hearing on Friday, the Defense Department's head of Land Systems, Major General Andrew Bartrell, indicated that the ADF was preparing to send more than 4 Bushmasters to Ukraine's military. We've been working through options on what we've got available. where they are, providing some of that advice to government. They're still considering those options, he said. I'd suggest that it's moved on from just 4, so those options are still being considered by the defense minister and government. The initial 4 Bushmaster protected mobility vehicles to be flown out of RAAF base Amberley had been painted olive green. The vehicles had been painted white before the refit, and it is understood a Ukrainian flag had been painted on the door at the rear of the vehicle. The Defense Department has been approached for comment, but has not yet responded to a series of detailed questions from the ABC, including on what modifications have been made to the Bushmasters. The Bushmaster is built in the regional Victorian city of Bendigo by French-owned defense company Thales, which is currently providing, assembling dozens of the vehicles for the New Zealand military. Foreign Minister Maurice Payne will fly to Brussels on Tuesday to join a meeting of NATO foreign ministers trying to coordinate an international response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Several countries from outside NATO, including South Korea, Japan, New Zealand, Finland, and Sweden, have been invited to attend the meeting. In a statement, she said Australia wanted to strengthen international solidarity in responding to Russia's illegal and unjust actions. Bushmaster and armored protection. The Bushmaster may be thirsty, but it is also a safe shelter. It has high levels of blast and ballistic protection. Some of the versions get a remote weapon station where there also is a manned open turret. Bushmaster countries where deployed. While primarily used by Australia Armed Forces, the Bushmaster has also been used by forces in the Netherlands, New Zealand, Fiji, Japan, and the United Kingdom. These 4x4 vehicles have been actively used in operations in West Asia and Afghanistan.